immediately punched the officer. The officer caught the full force of the fat man's strike with one hand. The officer did his best to suppress his anger. The left hand took out a weapon from the pocket. Let the chubby guy talk endlessly. He even claims he's possessed. The officer couldn't help but laugh. If I believed that, I would be a fool. Having said that, he raised his weapon and aimed it at them. This is the anti-riot self-defense spray. A spray from Jai covered the fat man's eyes. A piercing scream immediately startled Officer Shen Chong beside him. Officer Shen believes, based on the actions of the fat man attacking the police at the station, the situation is quite serious. Without causing any casualties again, the sentence must be at least 3 years. Having said that, they prepared to imprison the chubby man. Little did they know the fat man still wanted to file a complaint against all the officers. Chuenzi felt that his decision was right. Such scum must be dealt with collectively. Then he threw away the entire batch of little people. After that, the fat guy was no longer a hindrance. The traffic police are all helping the crooks speak. The traffic accident caused by the fat man driving under the influence and rear-ending the car has reached a conclusion. The insurance company compensates at the highest standard. Chuenzi and veterinarian Lao Yang are eating grilled skewers and drinking beer. They talked again about Lao Yang joining the large hospital. Lao Yang was a top student at the medical school. This opportunity must be seized. After eating and drinking their fill, the two returned to old Liang's pet hospital. The rat demon is still recovering in the house. Chuenzi led the way inside. Unbeknownst to them, someone was approaching from behind. Lao Yang heard footsteps. The visitor turned out to be someone wearing a trench coat. A burly man. Lao Yang suddenly felt confused. I feel like I've seen this person somewhere before. Chuenzi also turned to look. It was discovered that this person had only half a face. Or rather, the other half of the face surprisingly had no skin. In the dead of night, a terrifying man with only half a face suddenly appeared in front of Dr. Liang. The moment the string turned back, the half-faced man suddenly pulled out a hammer from his bag. In an instant, Chuenzi recognized this person at a glance. It is the serial killer of the Dongling City bus. Then Chuenzi immediately pounced and shouted, "Lao Liang, run quickly!" Meanwhile, the half-faced man swung the glowing iron hammer at old Liang. A loud thud echoed in the silence. Lao Liang's left arm, blocking above his head, was smashed in half by the half-faced man. The pain of a broken bone almost made Lao Liang faint on the spot. Chuenzi casually picked up a pet cage, slammed hard onto the half-faced man's face. Suddenly, he dragged Lao Liang into the room. Under the impact of the cage, the half-faced man just tilted his head slightly. The hat was just knocked off. In an instant, the adversary launched another attack. At the critical moment of 1,000 troops, suddenly a sizzling sound came from Lai's house. Lai Wu was standing in a dark shadow. After stepping out, only to find it was an injured mouse demon, the rat demon approached half-faced man, hissing. It seems the other party understood. He turned around and picked up his hat, exited the palace gate, lost in the darkness. Afterward, Chuenzi helped Lao Liang to the chair. The rat demon thoughtfully brought a teeth-grinding stick. At this moment, Lao Liang's arm was already lacerated and bleeding. The broken bone spurs have already pierced through the flesh. So he asked Chuenzi to help him push the bone spur back in. Chuenzi is worried that Lao Liang might faint from the pain. But Lao Liang clenched his teeth and urged the skewers to hurry up. A little pain is better than bleeding to death, right? Suddenly he pressed the button hard. already in so much pain that I'm slumped over the table. I almost lost my life." Chuenzi told him not to worry. "The ambulance is on its way." At this moment, suddenly the police arrived outside, almost mistook the skewer for the murderer. Fortunately, Officer Shen also arrived and helped Chuenzi out of the predicament. Then the ambulance arrived and took old Liang away. Before leaving, Lao Liang told Chuenzi what he saw earlier at the crematorium, the person sitting on the rooftop with the mouse demon. It was the half-faced man from just now. Chuenzi was very surprised. Is the half-faced man here because of the rat demon? Upon further thought, something felt off. Just now, it was clearly the mouse demon who appeared. Just stop the half-faced man. He shouldn't want to hurt Chuenzi and Lao Liang. After sending off Lao Liang, Officer Shen suddenly asked Chuenzi, "What is the relationship between this rat demon and the killer?" Chuenzi found this quite puzzling as well. This mouse often goes out late at night. Chuenzi didn't know how they got to know each other. The mouse demon was injured late at night, just arrived at this pet hospital, but at that moment the wounds on his body seemed to be knife wounds. It doesn't seem like something the half-faced man with a hammer would do. Officer Shen stated, "This case is confusing and mysterious. Any relevant clues must be thoroughly investigated. So I want to ask Chuenzi to take the rat monster back to the police station." On the way to the police station, Officer Shen mentioned the video website that Chuenzi had talked to him about before. He tried to log in. Besides videos of animal cruelty, there is also real-life torture and extreme abuse. Additionally, he also received the video recorded by Tianlin. The one who actually killed was a tall man. However, he always appears fully armed each time, dressed in black with a hood. Never revealed its true self. Chuenzi asked how to solve the case of Lai Yanong in Donglin City. Is the snuff film he sells related to him? Officer Shen conducted a detailed investigation on this and captured some video websites, the removal of videos in Donglin City. After extensive interrogation, confirmed no direct relationship with Lai Yanong. While speaking, Chuenzi suddenly noticed that the rat demon had lost a lot of fur. The rat demon has cultivated to this level. Fur is comparable to flesh. Generally, they don't shed easily, can fall to such a level. The rat demon's body has become very weak. At that moment, Officer Shen's phone suddenly rang. It seems to be a call from his leader. They are already busy and overwhelmed over there. They actually sent them on such a cursed mission. What task is the curious about? Officer Shen replied, "Protect Team Zhu." Officer Shen has just released a message. The security guard at Zhu's team said he had seen the half-faced man lurking nearby, and it's in the house right next to Team Zhu's. So the city bureau immediately dispatched everyone over. Officer Shen brought the suspect to team leader Zhu's home. Madame Zhu poured a cup of tea for Chuenzi. Looking around, the room was filled with police officers, as everyone was discussing how to apprehend the murderer while protecting team leader Zhu. Chuenzi suddenly realized that the rat demon beside him was gone. Just as Chuenzi was feeling puzzled, suddenly a dog's bark came from the master bedroom. Chuenzi is not on the right path. Quickly rushed over. As expected, as soon as I entered the room, I saw the rat demon fiercely biting a small white dog. Blood is flowing into the rat's mouth. The rat demon viciously bit the white dog. The rat demon chuckled. The white dog bleeds uncontrollably. Chuenzi was extremely furious. Immediately took action to rescue the white dog. Unexpectedly, the rat demon's front paw embraced the white dog, biting down and not letting go. Suddenly, the white dog's collar broke. Unexpectedly, a golden hoop fell. The rat demon bit into thin air. That's why I had to spill the beans. And that golden hoop rolled into Captain Zoo's hand. Zoo Dewey immediately questioned his wife. How did this thing end up in the rubber rain? But his wife was also unaware. So team leader Zoo handed the golden hoop to Officer Shenjong. Have him investigate its source. Then turned around and continued the meeting. Chuanzi saw that Captain Zhu did not blame him. I felt helpless as I scolded the rat demon. Left. You two are from different species. Stop thinking about them. And the little white dog stared intently at the departing rat demon, trembling all over. At the meeting, Chuanzi felt utterly bored. Suddenly noticed something unusual. Quickly turned to look at the rat demon, but found that the rat demon breathed in and out, surprisingly, practicing the transformation of the knife. Did the rat demon take my luck and my knife? Chuanzi was immediately startled. However, it cannot be confirmed at the moment. Chuanzi couldn't help but recall the past of the rat demon. After all, he is a mouse spirit who has cultivated for 100 years. Even if I'm thrown out, the Dharma body remains by my side. Does the rat demon really just settle for the status quo? Moreover, the rat demon recently sneaked out with a string of beads. Still messing around with that half-faced person. Never let your guard down against the rat demon. Thinking of this, Chuanzi's gaze suddenly noticed a shadow at the door. It was originally the scene of team leader Zhu's wife interacting with the white dog, but the next second it turned into the shadows of two women. Chuanzi's heartbeat suddenly slowed down for a moment. Dog demon. He is actually a dog demon. Did the rat demon just steal the dog demon's knife? Xuanzi couldn't help but recall a few days ago. He and the Taoist master Rocky came to Zhu's house to commit theft. I unexpectedly encountered a dog demon transformed into human form. That day, the dog demon was absorbing Zhu team's yang energy. At this moment, Chuanzi hesitated whether to remind team leader Zhu. Suddenly noticed that team leader Zhu's hands were emanating a strong primordial energy. Zhu Dui turns out to be quite skilled. Chuanzi felt surprised. Although everyone has internal energy, but the difference is whether it can be activated. This is clearly a form of secret training for men to cultivate their yang energy. It should be the Eastern deity's fundamental inner breathing technique. The stronger the power, the stronger the yang. Captain Zhu must have known about this dog demon long ago. Thinking of this, the moment of inspiration struck. That day, the half-faced man appeared next to Zhu Dui's house. Is it coming for the dog demon? Recently, I've been hanging out with the rat demon again. This just shows that this person has an extremely keen perception of supernatural beings. This person should be a lost soul, a ghostly figure. Chuanzi could no longer suppress his thoughts. He immediately stood up and said, "Everyone, I provide an idea." Chuanzi openly claims he is a Taoist priest. With his insights, the half-faced man is likely a shadowy ghost. This person has a sturdy build and an ugly appearance. It should be particularly eye-catching, but he attacked the bus driver and no one noticed, because it's difficult for normal people to detect the presence of yang kai. The yin energy within the yin ghost is greater than the yang energy. Moreover, this person has a strong affinity for interacting with supernatural beings. All signs indicate that this person is a ghost. Then Chuanzi wanted the map of Dongling City. According to the analysis of the thread, the shadow ghost is likely hiding in the graveyard. Sewers and abandoned areas rarely frequented by people. Zhu Dui nodded in approval. Not long ago, Chuanzi helped Team Zhu solve it. The wastewater issue of Tai Long Reservoir in Dongling City. At the same time, the ancient underwater dragon city tomb was discovered. Jai Dao Chuanzai's abilities are exceptional. Thus, Captain Zhu immediately issued the order. Tomorrow, we will enter the underground tomb drainage system. The search of the abandoned site begins. After the meeting, Chuanzi and Officer Shen walked together. Officer Shen said, "This golden hoop has brand engravings on it. It is a delicate item from the Daikai Gold store. This is the largest gold jewelry store in Dongling City. Soon we will be able to find the buyer information for this golden hoop." At this point, Chuanzi felt that this case was already solved. Officer Shen was taken aback. Chuanzi suggested that Officer Shen conduct a surprise raid, the vault used by the large finance firm to store gold, because the half-faced person is likely hiding there. Officer Shen hesitated, but thinking of the various wonders of the thread, he gritted his teeth and said, "Janet, Layazi is going all out." The conversation ended, but I see Chuanzi and the rat demon leisurely holding the back of their heads. This golden hoop was discovered by our family's rat demon. Our family's mouse spirit is the best. The next day, Officer Shen's search warrant request was approved by his superiors. Immediately led the team, rushing to the gold vault of the Daikai jewelry store for a surprise inspection. After getting off the car, Officer Shen shouted towards the warehouse. "The people inside are listening. You are already surrounded." The words remain unspoken. Suddenly, a dark figure holding a hammer appeared. An unsettling aura radiated from him. Who would have thought a serial killer would live in a gold store's vault? The roll-up door of the vault slowly opened. A man with only half a face suddenly appeared inside. Officer Shen understood the implication. Brought people to this place. I never expected the murderer to be hiding here. He immediately picked up the megaphone and shouted for him to surrender. The area is already surrounded by the police. The half-faced man did not resist, but threw the hammer in his hand away. Officer Shen ordered everyone to stop moving. He picked up the hammer from the ground. Only the square hammerhead was visible. The mirror reflected 4 bright red characters. Taiwan Saifu. Officer Shen did not understand the meaning, but the skewers next to it were obvious. This person is an iron official. This iron official sounds a bit mysterious. Also known as the ghost hunter in folk terms. Officer Shen didn't understand. This killer has taken the lives of real, living people. Chuanzi explained. Tai Guansha does not kill humans, but rather a person of dark spirits. Then the person casually asked Officer Shen if he knew. How did he guess the murderer? It's hidden in the warehouse of the big tycoon's jewelry store. Officer Shen was quite puzzled as well, but he thinks Chuanzi is a master. With a quick calculation, one can know. Chuanzi explained. There is no such thing as an omniscient deity in this world. Some words have long been taken away by the heavens. Chuanzi thought of the gold shop because of this person. There are 2 reasons. The killer has a unique appearance, yet no one has seen them. It must be because they live in a hidden corner. The vault in the jewelry store is usually very secretive, perfectly matched the characteristics of the killer's hiding place. The jewelers in the gold shop prepare the potions. Most practice the mystical arts of the Xuanmen. According to previous speculation, Chuanzi suspects the half-faced man. It might be the priest who prepares potions in the treasury. Before the words fell silent, a sedan arrived just in time. The people in the car shouted, "Comrade police officer, please don't misunderstand Yuko. He is just a poor soul." The young man who was speaking got out of the car. "He is the supervisor of this vault." The manager said, "Yuzi grew up together with him since childhood. He is the eldest son of the founder of this large jewelry store. Hearing from the founder of the gold shop, Officer Shen recalled the couple who were kidnapped 7 years ago, the Liu Chinglin couple who still have not been heard from. Is this half-faced man named Yuko? It turns out to be their child. Officer Shen asked what exactly happened. The supervisor let out a long sigh. This story is a long one. Actually, Uncle Liu and his wife have long since passed away. Back then, he was still a worker in the processing workshop. One day, due to a machine malfunction in the workshop, he ran to the office to find Uncle Liu. Uncle Liu's office is empty. He pushed the door and entered the inner room. The room was completely dark. There are still faint traces of blood seeping out from behind the curtain. The supervisor mustered the courage to pull back the curtain. Unexpectedly found Uncle Liu's body completely decayed. Skin turns blue. Loose and falling eyeball. A pool of thick blood flowed beneath. Uncle Liu's eyes rolled down to the supervisor's feet. The supervisor trembled in fear, immediately fell to the ground. At that moment, a blue hand, covered in thick calluses, reached out from behind. Looking back, it was Aunt Liu, whose body was equally decayed, pleading for his help. The supervisor was deeply impressed by this matter. He remembered that the two of them were mixing a bright paint called mortal liquid. The luster of gold itself is not very pronounced, so potions are needed for assistance. However, the materials for this potion are very special. It easily attracts some unclean things. The supervisor suspects that it was these potions that harmed them. At that time, the Daikai Fa Gold store was in a period of rapid development. Eventually, after discussion, it was decided. First, they will announce the news of the two deaths. Publicly, it was claimed that the two had been kidnapped and their fate was unknown. Officer Shen questioned him if he knew that falsely reporting a crime is also a crime. But the supervisor also feels guilty. In that situation at the time, their only consideration is how to protect themselves. Chuenzi asked them to hold off on that for now. Right now, he really wants to know about Liu Qinglin's eldest son. How did it end up looking like this? The supervisor explained that this actually starts with a limping Taoist priest. After Uncle Liu passed away, a Taoist priest was invited to the shop to help exorcise evil spirits. The Taoist priest surveyed the scene. No exorcism rituals were performed, but directly took Uncle Liu's eldest son, Qin Yu, away. For the next 3 years, Qin Yu has been out of touch. 3 years later, he returned to the jewelry store again. At that time, Qin Yu's left cheek had already started to wither. The supervisor had advised him to see a doctor, but he just won't listen. Later, Qin Yu moved to the gold shop warehouse. Only relatives and friends of the Liu family can work in the warehouse, so no one would reveal the news to the outside. On a later day, the supervisor has an upset stomach in the middle of the night. After leaving the restroom, I unexpectedly saw Yuko dragging a huge dead rabbit. It slowly approached the warehouse. The supervisor had never seen such a large rabbit. It's comparable to an adult water buffalo. Officer Shen was very surprised to hear this. The supervisor believes that Yuko would never commit murder. I hope the officers will get to the bottom of this. Chuenzi whispered to Officer Shen. This was about what he expected. Qin Yu is indeed a tough official. The people he killed, they are actually all transformed humanoid spirits. He appeared next door to Team Zhu's house in the middle of the night because it's actually because Captain Zhu's family has a dog spirit. Officer Shen could hardly believe it. The white dog of Zhu Dui's family. It turns out to be a dog demon. Chuenzi nodded in agreement. and said that Kin Yu was going to hunt that dog demon that night. Officer Qi Shen still doesn't understand. Since that's the case, why did Kin Yu run next door at that time? Chuenzi explained. The floor of Team Zhu. Actually, someone performed a gastrectomy on me. Pyloric surgery will lead to malicious intentions. The person attempting to break in is hallucinating, so Kin Yu mistakenly entered the wrong room. As for the golden hoop around the white dog's neck, the odds are about 18 to 1. It was a token of love bought for him by a man enchanted by a dog demon. Finally, Officer Shen pondered for a long time, inquired about the last doubt. If Qin Yuzhen is the Iron Officer hunting monsters, then why specifically target bus drivers? Could it be that monsters love to transform into bus drivers? This statement seems a bit forced. Chuenzi feels. Officer Shen might as well ask Qin Yu directly. Officer Shen picked up the megaphone and shouted at Jingu, expressing a desire to speak with Qin Yu privately. The content of the conversation can be kept private. Qin Yu in the golden hoop listened to these words. She nodded slightly in agreement. Officer Shen set off. Before leaving, I had instructed the team members to bring the strings into the Jingu to take a look. Then Xuanzi followed the officer into the Jingu. The room was pitch dark. The air was still thick with a strong, fishy smell. This person is holding a large rabbit head. He gave a strange giggle. Yo-Yo called out Deishang. Chuanzi was suddenly startled. Turning around, I suddenly saw the lights turn on. Suddenly, Chuenzi was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. Only after seeing clearly did I realize it was Officer Shen playing a prank. Officer Shen said they found a lot of animal fur in the other paths. Chuenzi immediately rushed over upon hearing this. Inside the warehouse, there were furs of various monsters hanging everywhere, riding on the thick aura of the person with half a face. King Yu did not lie after all. Officer Shen said he had already spoken privately with King Yu. Let's take the strings to a place. That's where the strings need to be pulled. On the car, Chuenzi always thought that the bus driver in the serial killer case was King Yu. But the truth slowly emerged from Officer Shen's lips. At this moment, they are heading to the former lair of the demons. These monsters robbed the bus driver in the middle of the night. Later, it transformed into the appearance of a driver to conceal its identity. So the drivers killed by King Yu were all monsters. But to clear King Yu's name, we must find the body of the bus driver. Right now, we can only rely on leads to find the burial site in this area. But this terrain has no unusual features. It's hard to determine the signs of danger. Xuanzi felt a great headache. At that moment, the rat demon suddenly jumped down from the car. Surprisingly, he sat next to King Yu. Xuanzi immediately walked over. King Yu, you said you are an iron official. Then why don't you kill the rat demon? King Yu is not someone who indiscriminately kills the innocent. Partner. Suddenly, King Yu's face twisted in a fierce expression. She practiced the iron official magic. I will definitely be abandoned by the heavens. King Yu has transformed into this wealthy appearance. We must also vanquish demons and capture monsters. Even if the monsters are fierce and terrifying, King Yu also wants to kill them all. Chuenzi not only admired. King Yu's actions are commendable. The rat demon was just hanging out with her for food. However, how old are you, mouse demon, to still be playing with yarn? Suddenly, King Yu spoke again. That veterinarian. Xuanzi was suddenly startled. Are you talking about Dr. Liang Qixing? How is that possible? King Yu nodded and said, his palms didn't grow. No wonder King Yu wanted to hit old Liang with a hammer that day. But King Yu did not know that Lao Yang has been possessed by the female ghost Zio Hong for 25 years. The negative energy in the body is greater than the positive energy. This led to King Yu's misjudgment. Chuanzi still wanted to say something. Suddenly, gunshots rang out in the parking lot. Officer Shen quickly called everyone to find cover. Quickly armed with a pistol, I began to break into the parking lot. Officer Shen pulled the trigger, carefully stretching out his head to check the situation in the yard, but saw a worker lying in a pool of blood. Officer Shen was taken aback. Quickly arrange for your subordinates to request support. Pull the alarm line. We can't let passers-by get close to here. We cannot let the robber leave this place. After saying that, he shouted loudly inside. You have already been surrounded. But clearly this threat is ineffective. The robbers actually kidnapped 4 workers. Instead, it threatened Officer Shen. Get lost. Believe it or not, I'll break a couple more just to test it. Officer Shen suddenly felt something was off. Faced with such ruthless villains, quickly prepare to contact the negotiation expert and give it a try. Otherwise, we can only consider killing the assailant. But at that moment, desire spoke. Don't worry about these. Those 4 people are not human. Officer Shen's heart skipped a beat. I heard the stringer say again, these 4 people are very strange. Look at their posture. It's not a shiver born out of fear. It was as if they were puppets moving in perfect unison. At the shooting scene, 3 men and 1 woman were seen. Strange twisting in the showcase. There was actually a heavily armed man in the yard, fallen in a pool of blood. The police heard gunshots. Immediately rushed to the crime scene. That is the 9th Maintenance Depot. What can be confirmed first is there are 2 criminals on the scene, 4 hostages, and a heavy gunman. Officer Shen immediately issued the order, while protecting the 4 hostages, shot dead 2 heinous criminals. But the half-faced man beside him said with desire, there's no need to worry about the hostages' safety anymore, because those 4 are not human at all. Chuenzi also expressed agreement at this moment. Through the gap in the courtyard wall, he could see clearly the 4 hostages in the room is shaking strangely. That is completely not because of fear and the resulting tremors, but rather a synchronized dance, as if possessed. Officer Shen has also noticed this, unavoidably captivated by this eerie scene, scared to the point of breaking out in a cold sweat. Desire immediately used his exposed big eyes. After surveying the scene, he immediately shouted, "Not good. We have fallen into the ghost cave." Chuenzi and Officer Shen were very surprised to hear this. But little did they know that in the yard, struggling to rise amidst the chaotic convulsions, slowly moving toward the gate with difficulty, I could only see the blood beneath his body, dragging a trail of blood on the concrete floor. This terrifying scene is truly shocking. In a little while, the group of drivers finally climbed to the entrance of the courtyard. Only a weak cry was heard. "Save me." Officer Shen and the other 2 turned around and realized. The driver of the many guns is still alive. Afterwards, the driver was lifted onto a stretcher. Officer Shen closely followed to inquire about the details of the case, although he knows the injured person must be suffering greatly right now, but quickly grasped the truth of the case. It is equally important to him. Little did they know the driver's first words were. Let Officer Shen's heart tremble with uncertainty. Just now, his car suddenly broke down. I originally wanted to ask the mechanic at the maintenance yard for help. As soon as I pushed open the door to the control room, I saw a few people standing in the room. Each of them had something around their neck. There is a distinct bite mark. A large chunk of flesh is missing from the bite wound. The muscle tissue inside is fully exposed. The once bright red flesh and blood have all faded, but their heads can still turn. The driver saw them all looking at him strangely. I was stunned on the spot, immediately turned around and ran outside. Just as he was running and preparing to call the police, a shot to the head, a gunshot from behind. The driver felt he was doomed this time. Little did he know he had just collapsed here. The police have arrived. At this moment, Officer Shen's subordinate suddenly came to report. According to feedback from the bus company, the 9th maintenance yard was established back in September of last year. It has already been discontinued. The reason was the person on the night shift at that time. I'd often see the two deceased workers digging up your own corpse under the streetlight with a shovel. Officer Shen listened. Suddenly, several cups became cold. Repeatedly confirm whether the situation is true. His subordinate told him, "The people from the bus company aren't very clear about the specifics. It is said that at that time they could often be found in the muddy fields around the parking lot, discovered huge rabbit footprints. Even the wolf dogs dared not enter the parking lot here. Additionally, the power and electromagnetic signals here are unstable. The explosion machine can even receive eerie cries for help. It is precisely these inexplicable situations that exist. The bus company finally stopped using this parking lot. At that moment, a nearby officer suddenly sneezed several times. It suddenly feels much colder. The aura of desire here grows increasingly heavy." Chuanzi also realized at this moment. This seems to be the terrifying residence of the Tai Sui recorded in the legend has it that there is a place for nurturing corpses. After a person dies, the body will not decay or stiffen here for 13 days. Once it sees the light, it will start moving on its own. This type of corpse is also called a hidden corpse. This place for raising corpses is called the Tao Sui Mansion. Liao Shu's book on the secret technique of sealing doors contains detailed records. Tai Sui is a malevolent spirit in folklore. Will drive away the hidden corpse buried in the Tai Sui's domain using magic. Thus, the phenomenon of corpses digging their own graves and being buried forms. And now the place where Chuanzi and the others are located, not only dark clouds, but also fierce winds and raging fire. There have also been hidden bodies discovered. Chuanzi asserted that there must be the abode of the Tai Sui here. Tianguan King Yu Dian is the title. Monsters frequently emerge in this place. It's not surprising to have Tai Sui standing on the ground. However, it's difficult to determine where the Tai Sui's residence is. Chuanzi said, "The residence of the Tai Sui is a place of great misfortune. The celestial signs carry ominous omens. The influence of undergroundian energy on the stars above, as long as the killer star shines in the sky. The power of dark malevolence. The cold shadow star lord can find the whereabouts of the Tai Sui's residence." The words fall. Officer Shen walked closer. It turns out Officer Shen decided to launch a strong attack on the parking lot. The two robbers inside were actually there for a drug deal. What is even more chilling is they manipulate the eerie actions of 4 dead people, using hostages to deceive the police. Officer Shen immediately ordered to infiltrate inside. At the sound of a command, the flashbang thrown into the room exploded with a loud bang. The police immediately opened fire on the drug dealer. Qi Chuanzi was startled upon seeing this. The drug dealer was shot but did not fall down. What is the green smoke rising from the body? Suddenly, a roar sounded in my ear. "Run quickly! He is going to unleash violence." Chuanzi finally realized. The one who got shot is not a drug dealer at all. This is exactly the eerie dead person. Several wisps of blue smoke emerged from the wound in the cave window, running towards the police with strange steps. But the police vowed to fight to the death to take him down. Chuenzi immediately grabbed his collar. She grabbed him and ran wildly towards the door. "If you don't run now, it will be too late." The two rushed out the door. A loud bang sounded from behind. A deep blue poison spread out. When the moment arrived, fear overwhelmed me. Officer Shen and Qin Yu both expressed concern. At that moment, a figure slowly walked towards the door. It feels like my whole body is melting. It turns out that I didn't die right away. This person collapsed at the door with a mutilated body. Officer Shen and the others were suddenly shocked. It quickly became clear that this person was a drug dealer. It seems to be a long-term drug addiction. They have also developed resistance to the corpse poison. Otherwise, it would have melted into blood long ago. After the corpse poison dissipates, Officer Shen and Xuanzi infiltrated the parking lot building again. Soon, they discovered the second drug dealer in a cabinet. Officer Shen was about to persuade him to put down his weapon and surrender. But that person suddenly started laughing maniacally. Then he said, "Useless. Even if we surrender, it's still a dead end. Speak." He actually raised the gun to his own head. He shot himself in a fit of wild laughter. Afterwards, Officer Shen was very puzzled by this. Why do drug dealers conduct transactions in such a strange place? Why would they rather die than reveal the mastermind behind it? Chuenzi said gravely, "Because the drug dealers know that telling the truth is more painful than death. There must be someone nearby watching the drug dealer." Additionally, Chuenzi deduced that the drug lord is very likely a local deity. After all, there is a residence of the Tai Sui here. The strange phenomena here, even those monsters that harm the bus drivers, it is likely all the work of the Tai Sui. At this point, suddenly, gunshots rang out in the parking lot. Xuanzi and the others were suddenly startled. Soon a police officer ran over to report. "The drug dealer who just committed suicide has come back to life." "How is this possible?" Officer Shen had clearly examined the drug dealer's body. "Is it the doing of the Teisui again?" Then it was learned that the drug dealer was running towards the windbreak forest. Officer Shen immediately set off. Chuenzi decided to go over together. The residence of the Taisui must be right there. This should be the body of the drug dealer controlled by the Taisui. Deliberately left clues. The conversation ended. Desire vowed that he would have no place to rest in death. At this moment, Xuanzi turned to look at the rat demon. "Do you want to go take a look?" The rat demon quickly shook its head. However, after the string of events left, the rat demon entered with a triumphant smile. Soon, the three of them arrived at the pond by the windbreak forest. Officer Shen suspected that the drug dealer might have jumped into the water. Xuanzi also thinks it's very likely. After all, the drug dealer is just a puppet being controlled by others, not afraid of water at all. Suddenly, someone asked from behind, "Officer, are you planning to retrieve the body?" Officer Shen was taken aback. "Who is there in the dead of night?" Upon closer inspection, it turned out to be an elderly man with white hair. He saw the officer investigating the case. Only then did I have this doubt. Officer Shen then said, "They are tracking down a fugitive. I suspect they jumped into the pond." The old man waved his hand and said, "If you really jump into the water, you will definitely die. It seems this pond is indeed mysterious." The old man was setting up the seating on the grass. "Place 3 bowls. Light 5 incense sticks. 2 candles. Holding a yellow cloth spirit calling sail. Muttering to oneself, 'Zio dong, dongzi.' Hurry back. Your parents miss you. In no time at all, a gust of cold wind stirred the bell. Footprints suddenly appeared on the grass. The old man stood up and walked to the shore, pulling a net out of the water. However, when he pulled the fishing net, above the fishnet in the center of the pond, a terrifying thing suddenly appeared. In the pond of the orchids, they unexpectedly recovered a child's body. Just now, Chuenzi Kinyu and Officer Shen, along with the three others, chasing the criminal all the way to the edge of the pond. But then I saw an old man calling for spirits, set up a soul-calling mat on the shore. After shouting a few times, unexpectedly I pulled up a fishing net filled with bells from the water. As the old man pulls the net out of the water with force, a pale child's corpse unexpectedly emerged in the pond. It seems the child is about 3 or 4 years old, eyes wide open in a daze. Clearly, the eyes remained wide open in death. The old man shouted while pulling in the net. "Sayo Dong is obedient. Come home with me. You won't have to steep tea in cold water any more." Before the voice fell silent, suddenly a shadow surged from below the water. The net suddenly snapped taut. The old man was caught off guard. A handful of words grasped the shore, said dejectedly, "Don't just stand there. Hurry over and give me a hand." Seeing this, Chuenzi and the others quickly come forward to help. The 4 of them desperately pulled on the net ropes. The child's body in the water floated up and down. Chuenzi didn't know what kind of monster was under the water. Where did such great strength come from? Even if the 4 of them exerted all their strength, it can only barely achieve the strength to kill the king. At that moment, the force underwater suddenly disappeared. The child's body was suddenly pulled ashore. At the same time, they were brought out, and the drug traffickers they are chasing. But at this moment, the drug dealer was left with only half a body. The lower part of the waist was brutally torn off. It must be the work of the underwater monster. Shen Jingyuan cannot understand. What is so peculiar about this pond? Why is the old man calling out here? The old man said he wasn't too sure either, just listening to others chew on the snake root. They say this place, which real estate company bought it, used to build villas. At that time, there were people in the village who refused to move away. So the people at the company secretly took action, killed several villagers. How can ordinary people fight against the rich? The villagers are afraid, so they gradually moved away. In the end, we waited until everyone finished walking. This used to be farmland, instantly submerged by the water. No one could figure out the reason. Later, whenever someone fell into the water, then it would definitely be fatal. The water in this pond is actually very shallow. It's just over a meter deep. But strangely, every drowned body remains unfound. Must use the summoning technique. Only then can the body float to the surface. Then the old man slumped down on the lawn, wishing someone could break the deadlock here. Chuenzi thought his master Liu Fan might be able to do it. Suddenly turned to Shen Jingyuan and said, "Master has arrived in Dongling City, but can you come here to break the deadlock?" We still need to understand the meaning of Shen Jingyuan. Master Liu is still imprisoned in Dongling City jail. Shen Jingyuo, don't let him set a trap for you. Master Liu, can you come? It depends on what the prison authorities say, but he can take the string over to try. Officer Liu drove the police car. With Strings and Desire, they headed towards the prison, but no one noticed. At that moment, the rat demon suddenly emerged from the roadside, gave a wicked smile at the pond. Not long after, Chuenzi and the others met Uncle Liu in Dongling City prison. "You still can't wait for the strings to open?" Uncle Liu asked right away. You must have run into Tai Sui, huh? This man, although imprisoned. At a glance, it was clear that Chuenzi and the others had encountered Tai Sui. Can Master Liao really predict the future? Officer Shen was extremely surprised. But Master Liao said it was difficult to see this. A ghost hunter and a police officer. The ghostly presence that even three people together cannot resolve. That must be the Tai Sui. Master Liao is meticulous. The three of them just walked in and saw their pant legs were damp. The marks on my hands from the fishing nets. There is still a fishy smell. From this, it can be inferred that the residence of Tai Sui is in the water. Officer Shen was genuinely impressed and convinced. Truly worthy of being the master of skewers. Immediately invited Master Liao to assist in resolving the issue of the Tai Sui, after Master Liao's temporary release procedures. It wasn't until noon the next day that it was completed. However, Chuenzi and the others are not allowed to approach without permission. We can only take separate vehicles. At that moment, the master deist Liu Kai arrived with his eagle dog, Zio Chuenzi. But then I heard Chuenzi say, "Today, it seems someone is going to meddle in Uncle Liao's work." We really arrived at the place. Several Taoists had arrived early. Officer Shen was worried that instead of exorcising the demons, they might end up getting harmed. This Taoist priest is completely useless except for deceiving people and swindling money. He questioned him if he knew what monster was in the water. Unexpectedly, the Taoist did not respond. He said he was invited by Lin Zong to catch monsters. Then he not only angrily scolded the outsider deist from the brothel. Why intervened in the affairs of Dongling City? He raised the Fu Chen high and shouted, "I am the dragon and tiger celestial master of Zigon Mountain. The demon of Dongling City requires no one else's intervention." As the words fell, the white-haired old man who had summoned spirits here before let out a sigh. I heard that there are people who can't even solve the issue with the tailing long reservoir. In the end, they fled in a panic. The Taoist was so furious that he huffed out smoke. At that moment, the demon hunter Qin Yu was furious. If it is truly the celestial master of Longhu Mountain, Qin Yu has slain countless demons in Dongling City. Why have I never seen this ridiculous Taoist? The words were not finished. A car is approaching from behind. It turned out to be General Lin. The Taoist immediately asked Lin Zong to provide proof. Mr. Lin said that the matter here is indeed entrusted to the deist priest. Upon hearing this, Master Liao couldn't sit still and said, "Why must this senior brother be angry? Exorcising demons and eliminating evil is our duty. This road you walk on. I am leaving too." The words were not finished. The old man with white hair muttered, "You have time to argue. The monster in the water has already been fished out. It's really a hassle to be so fussy." As the words fell, Master Liao furrowed his brow immediately. "You are an old man with white hair," he casually said. What the elder said was, "I came here just for my big nephew. As long as he won't get hurt, it's fine. Then I will take a step back. Speak. Let Chuenzi leave with him." Chuenzi was very confused. Master Liao bears the burden of guilt. Why not seize this opportunity? That old Taoist priest is nothing but a fraud. Master Liao said, "Do your best, Chuenzi. But one must also understand the way of advance and retreat. Although the starting point of the string, do not want more innocent people to be hurt. However, Dongling City does have the so-called Dragon Tiger Celestial Master. There's also a skilled ghost hunter named Qin Yu. Liao, Shifu, and Chuenzi are just barbers. It's not the deist who can subdue demons." Chuenzi still wanted to persuade Master Liao, but was interrupted. What Chuenzi didn't know was, Master Lyo immediately recognized the true identity of the white-haired old man. That's why I said those words to protect Chuenzi. Warn the old man with white hair. Then he followed the officer away. Officer Shen felt a deep sense of regret upon seeing this. We can only see if that Taoist can exorcise the demon. Meanwhile, Zigong the Taoist arrived at the pond's edge. The master with the short sword instructed his disciple behind him. Eels were once raised in this pond. So the water spirit is just a transformed yellow eel. Nothing to fear. But at that moment, a large black shadow suddenly appeared in the pond. It's not the kind of size like a yellow eel at all. The old man with white hair immediately muttered softly upon seeing this. "Oh no, the monsters are here. Fun." At this moment, the deist is boasting to his disciple. At the moment of self-satisfaction, a claw larger than that of the deist suddenly appeared. Suddenly, a giant eel whale burst out of the calm water surface. The old Taoist saw this and fell to the ground in shock. Suddenly, the massive eel whale surged up. The aura of the old deist capturing the monster suddenly vanished. As the buttocks leak urine and arrows are wildly swung. However, an incredible thing happened next. The giant eel whale was hit by a few arrows from the old master. Unexpectedly collapsed with a loud crash. The bystanders were left stunned and speechless at the scene. Is this how it ends? The old priest with closed eyes. At this moment, there is no sound. The eyes opened slightly. The demon hunter kicked the fallen eel whale. It has been confirmed that the eel whale is dead. The old Taoist immediately stood up and laughed heartily, turning around to face the crowd behind. Did you see it? This demon is under attack from my divine path sword technique. Has already perished in the underworld. With me, the dragon and tiger celestial master stepping in. Any monster cannot escape doom. The old priest laughed as if he were nearly mad. But the developer, Lin Zong, awkwardly wore a half-smile. Chuenzi could hardly believe his eyes. He racked his brains trying to take down Lai Dai Tai Sui. I can't believe this counterfeit old Taoist was eliminated so easily. Or perhaps this eel whale isn't broken at all. The old deist was proudly holding up a selfie stick, taking a photo with the dead eel whale. Chuenzi was utterly infuriated. At this moment, Officer Shen received a message from the parking lot. It is said that the bodies of the 7 drivers who were previously killed by the monster have been found. Officer Shen planned to take Qin back to the station to take a statement. The previous serial murder case has been closed. The other side, developer Lin rushed over to compliment the old master, praising the deist priest for his great skills. The old Taoist priest signed response. This is all part of his duties. The water demon has been eliminated. Manager Lin dispatched someone to drain the syrup so construction can begin immediately. Building a villa. He was just waiting to drink President Lin's celebration wine. After speaking, he took his leave and left. Chuanzi returned to the car looking dejected. Turning around, I was shocked to find the rat demon in the back row. The rat demon did not follow last night. How could you suddenly appear here? Chuanzi repeatedly questioned. The rat demon danced joyfully as it explained the reason behind it. That night at Zhu Dui's house, the rat demon originally intended to consume the spirit of the dog demon, but Chuanzi did not know, thought it was the rat demon causing trouble. So I forcefully intervened to stop it. After that, the rat demon no longer dared to absorb souls in front of Chuanzi. I heard yesterday that there are monsters causing trouble in the pond. So he didn't follow the group, staying behind alone to sneakily eat in the pond. So that beast was actually killed by the rat demon after absorbing the pent-up essence. The rat lay on the shore and slept by the water all night. After Chuenzi learned the truth, with a mix of laughter and tears, I pinched the round little face of the mouse demon. "You should have made it clear earlier. Why would I stop you from eating?" Before the words could finish, General Lin unexpectedly arrived in front of the car. Chuenzi got off the car and asked him what was the matter. Mr. Lin expressed hope that Chuenzi would honor him by attending the press conference he is holding at the pond site tomorrow. When Chuenzi heard this, he felt that Lin was subtly humiliating him. "Just now, when I subdued the pent-up energy, Chuenzi merely stood in place without making a move. They are still allowed to attend the press conference. Isn't it to make them look foolish?" Lin Zong explained that Chuenzi was overthinking. He meant no humiliation, just the opposite. He felt that subduing the energy was not the work of that old Taoist, but it was secretly orchestrated by Chuenzi and others. He knew exactly what that old Taoist was capable of, the reason for inviting that old deist. It is also because of his influence in Dongling City. Many people trust him. Lin Zong does not want Lao Dao to speak ill of him in front of those people. In fact, his true purpose for inviting Chuenzi was, he hopes that Chuenzi can help him select a lucky site to break ground. After the matter is accomplished, I will never treat Chuenzi poorly. The essence of the string's power lies in feng shui and mystical fingers. Upon hearing this, he decided to accept the invitation. The next day, the press conference was held as scheduled near the pond. Manager Lin just took the stage to speak. Suddenly, an old man with white hair walked up to the stage. It was the old man who called the spirits that the group met by the pond last night. The audience began to murmur among themselves. The old man came up and said he had heart disease and high blood pressure. Don't let Lin's subordinates touch him. Mr. Lin listened, signaled for the bodyguards to step back. He immediately turned to ask this older brother what brought him to the stage. The old man asked Lin Zong not to call him old brother. He is 30 years younger than Lin Zong, just working hard for a living, so the face looks a bit older. Thus General Liu dared to ask for his name. The old man said his name is Liu Ming, and he became wealthy. He turned to look at the audience below. It seems that many people have come today. Lin Zong really has a lot of face. In addition, Lin's 2 sons and 1 daughter also came. Everyone is here. Mr. Lin is already quite impatient at this moment. Question him about what he really wants to do. Liu Fakai turned around and said to President Lin, "He made a wish since he was a child. I just hope that at the time when President Lin is at his most glorious, in front of everyone's eyes, personally killed President Lin." As soon as these words were spoken, the audience was in an uproar. Lin Zong's eldest son in the audience immediately got up and called for security. Prepare the materials for the next second. The eldest son's head. In an instant, countless spikes emerged from within. It became a hornet's nest. The death was brutal. Died on the spot. This man is extremely ruthless. His entire body was engulfed in a dark aura, which turned out to be his weapon. Just a thought is all it takes. Then one can transform the black mist into countless sharp cones from afar. Pierce someone else's head. Let its death be tragic. Not only that, the man can still control the security guard from a distance. Her skills are unmatched. In an instant, she stood before the deceased's younger brother. "It's your turn." This person is the one from not long ago, the instigator of a series of bizarre events, Tai Sui. President Lin has just lost his eldest son. Seeing my youngest son also taken hostage by the Tai Sui, pleading for mercy in sorrow. The words fell, but saw the little son's head, crushed by a punch from Tai Sui. The bystander immediately erupted in anger, about to strike. but was stopped by the deist master, Luo Kai. "We are no match for him. Hurry and notify the others to come over. The mastermind we've been searching for has appeared." Officer Shen immediately led a large team to rush over. However, this is all part of the Taisui's plan. The monster at the ninth bus depot harms the bus drivers to attract the Taoist priests who exorcise demons. Then the drug dealer resurrected and escaped into the pond. The Taoists then eliminated the giant turtle in the pond. The purpose is to make President Lin hold a new press conference. This way, Taisui could be at Lin Zong's most glorious and proud moment, avenge and settle scores. As for the young man Chuanzi, Taisui doesn't take it seriously at all. By the way, your friend with the ugly appearance is probably already dead. Has the demon hunter Qin Yu also fallen victim to treachery? Xuanzi can't help but remember last night. Everyone thought the case was closed after Wang Beijing died. However, Qin Yu believed there were still issues. Qin Yu also said they would come to investigate again today. Xuanzi roared. "What did you do to him?" Dealing with Qin Yu only requires a few pet monsters raised by Taisui. At this moment, Qin Yu should have become a meal in the belly of a monster. Then Taisui walked up to Lin Zong's daughter. "Now you are the only one left." Witnessing the tragic death of my two biological brothers, the girl was already scared to the point of breaking down. However, Taisui showed no mercy in his actions. Just about to strike the girl's head with a palm, suddenly Lin Zong tightly hugged Taisui's thigh, pleading with the Taisui to spare her daughter. Lin Zong really couldn't understand why Taisui would treat them this way. Taisui grabbed Lin Zong by the neck and said, "Have you forgotten all the bad things you've done? But I don't want to explain anymore. Go die with him." But at that moment, a bold and enchanting voice captured Taisui's heart. Turning around, she saw that it was that pretentious and self-important Taoist. Taisui casually tossed aside Lin Zong, gritted his teeth and said, "Why do I feel this way every time I see this fool? I always inexplicably want to hit him." Before the words were finished, a sword was seen coming at them. Taisui was instantly filled with rage. With a single punch, he knocked the Taoist to the ground. Such a weakling can easily lose his life. Ki Taisui is not satisfied. You also need to control the strength well to let the Taoist feel pain and despair. Then Taisui leisurely walked up to him and said, "You dare to pretend to be sick in front of me? Yesterday you should have been eaten by my old man's tortoise. The shameless monster must have swallowed the essence of the tortoise. You took advantage of me." Taisui was extremely angry about this. At the same time, the mouse spirit sneezed several times in a row. Evil dog Zaya Chuanzi was a bit confused. "Big brother mouse, what's wrong?" The rat spirit then mentioned how it went into the water the day before to fish out the turtle, which had consumed vital energy. "Perhaps I caught a cold." And Taisui said coldly, "I really want to stomp you to death. Killing you won't satisfy my anger." Upon hearing this, the Taoist immediately broke down in tears and begged the string of beads to save him. Chuanzi felt extremely relieved upon seeing this. "I detest people like this who pretend to be impressive without any real ability." But just at that moment, a sudden sound of embarrassment came from behind. Suddenly, a heavy iron hammer struck Taisui's head. Unexpectedly, it launched the Taisui several meters away. When Chuanzi saw this, his heart skipped a beat. Quickly turned to look. The one who made the move was the ghost hunter, Qin Yu. Xuanzi immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Qin Yu was covered in blood, and his injuries were severe. Staring intensely at Taisui, he scolded, "Demon child, Laozi is back. "Go die, you bastard!" At this moment Taisui was struck by a hammer from Kin Yu, causing blood to flow from all 7 orifices. Lying in a pool of blood, life or death uncertain. The man lay in a pool of blood, but the next second it strangely stood up again. Taisui Liu Fa Kai is wreaking havoc at the press conference. A heavy hammer suddenly flew in from behind, just as he lay on the ground, bloodied and severely injured. Nearby, the developer Lin Zong suddenly let out a terrible scream. Suddenly, blood flowed from his 7 orifices, died from severe injuries. Lin's daughter was immediately scared and her legs went weak, sitting limply on the ground. Fortunately, the bodyguard rushed up and pulled her away. At the same time, Liu Fakai has also stood up. Chuenzi was quite confused upon seeing this. In theory, Tai Sui can only manipulate corpses. I've never heard of transferring damage out of thin air. Liu Fakai planted the seeds of harm at that time. At this moment, Liu Fakai smirked mischievously. Claims to be the Tai Sui. It's not that easy to kill him. Before the words could finish, Liu Fakai instantly rushed towards the demon hunter, Qin Yu, who had just hit him with a hammer. Today we settle the accounts once and for all. Qin Yu, seeing this, rushed forward holding the iron crown hammer. Exorcising demons is his duty. The two will battle today. We will fight to the death. At the moment, the two engaged in combat. Only the sound of a hammer falling to the ground. Qin Yu's chest was suddenly pierced by the tentacle of the Tai Sui. Fresh blood gushed out. Chuenzi giant collided with the previous one, catching Qin Yu, who was about to fall. Standing in front of the two, Liu Fakai said he was only looking for someone with the surname Lin, resolving a 50-year-old injustice. Chuenzi and the others shouldn't keep coming to their deaths. But at this moment, the ghost hunter Qin Yu insisted. Since ancient times, good and evil have not changed. Inviting someone to do evil is something that must be eliminated. Liu Fakai then asked the skewer vendor next to him, "Didn't your master remind you earlier? I told you not to get involved in this matter. Why are you stirring trouble again?" Chuenzi was somewhat surprised. Suddenly recalled yesterday by the pond. What Uncle Lio said before getting on the bus. Liu Fakai said, Master Lio could already see that he was a Tai Sui, and it clearly told Liu Fakai. He came here worried that evil spirits would harm Chuenzi. This is actually a warning to Liu Fakai. Don't touch the string. Although Liu Fakai is not worried about Lio Fan causing trouble, since the other party did not expose his identity on the spot, it can be considered as doing him a favor. So right now, he plans to leave a string of life behind. After saying all this, Liu Fakai urged Chuenzi to leave quickly. Don't let Uncle Lio worry anymore. But Chuenzi remained resolutely unmoved. Desire is his friend. He definitely doesn't want to watch his friend die helplessly. Yet I escape alone into the wilderness. Soon Desire will leave with us. At that moment, Liu Fakai launched another attack, suddenly pounced on the two. You waste the opportunity given to you. Then you can't blame me. In an instant, Desire suddenly burst forth, as the tentacle of Tai Sui is about to pierce Desire. Then there was a whoosh sound. A short sword flew through the air, directly stabbed the shoulder of the Tai Sui. This person is the deist master, Liu Kai. Tai Sui just drew his short sword. Suddenly, another person appeared behind Liuoki. It is indeed the master of the string, Liao Fan. The police cars and ambulances all rushed to the scene. In times of crisis, I see familiar faces once again. Chuenzi felt an overwhelming excitement inside. Officer Shen raised his pistol and aimed it at Liu Fakai. But Master Liu told him to put down the gun, because bullets are nothing to Tai Sui. Later, Master Liu advises Liu Feikai to stop as soon as possible. Since the wish has been fulfilled, why continue to harm others, even the most wicked person in the world? One should also retain a trace of humanity. Liu Feikai did not understand. How did Master Liu know that he had achieved his wish? Uncle Liu pointed out. Liu Feikai is practicing one of the forbidden techniques of Maoshan, blood finger, since I have entered the deist path, yet practiced forbidden techniques, even to enhance the power of spells, as the seal of the ghost is buried underground. From a Taoist to becoming the Grand Duke, such resentment is for the sake of avenging the Lord. Now the Lord has not only been killed, and killed his entire family. Nature is always fulfilling wishes. Immediately after that, Master Liu advises Liu Feikai, if there is no intent to kill, why not just leave? If there is a murderous intent. Just how impressive is Master Liu? Uncle Liu Giant suddenly opened the handcuffs forcefully, flicking the sleeves to adjust. It was casually pinched between two fingers. And tell the other party. His white tiger talisman. You can break Liu Feikai's chemostatic technique. Liu Feikai thought this was nonsense. In the presence of the Tai Sui, Liu Feikai. In the moment I lunged at Uncle Liu. Master Liu flicked his hand. The talisman suddenly flew towards Tai Sui. Master Liu is finally going to make his move. He only saw his sword not being counted down. The momentum instantly became fierce. Molding a white tiger talisman to break the curse of the Tai Sui across the way. But they didn't take Master Liu seriously at all. He used the blood from his fingertips as a guide from the Mao Shan, sealing the ghost at the peak, transformed into the body of Tai Sui. Not only can they kill from a distance, driving the spirits, it can even transfer harm to others. With such dark magic at hand, Tai Sui indeed has the capital to be arrogant. But he underestimated Master Liu's skills. Master Liu waved his hand and summoned the white tiger talisman. The white tiger talisman shot out, facing the wind, seeing the palm, suddenly transformed into a blazing halo engulfing Tai Sui. With just a white tiger talisman, it is the blood finger technique that defeats Tai Sui, making it feel as if suffocating, trembling all over, kneeling on the ground, unable to resist any longer. Master Liu said, I am fully capable of stopping you from seeking revenge. But I didn't do that. Yesterday, Master Liu not only recognized that this person was the Tai Sui. It becomes clear that General Lin and Master Liu are from the same sect. But Lin Zong actually made his fortune as a barber who kidnapped people. Such a person deserves more than death. Yesterday, Master Liu warned Tai Sui not to harm Chuanzi. Tai Sui has brutally killed Lin Zong's entire family. It can be considered a way to relieve the hatred in my heart. At this moment, Tai Sui wants to know how Master Liu will deal with him. But Master Liu is a sinner. Tai Sui is a demon. As Master Liu, how can one discuss the word disposal? Moreover, Liu Shifu is the white tiger descending the mountain. It is said that when the white tiger descends the mountain, there will be danger. Master Liu is now struggling to take care of himself. Tai Sui was greatly alarmed. Aren't we all the same? Suddenly reflecting with hands hanging down. Tai Sui has been immersed in dark arts for decades, filled with malice. Now where should we go from here? Master Liu spoke frankly. Go to prison. The Tai Sui just spared the life of the ghost hunter's passion. It is clear that Tai Sui is not someone who is obsessed with killing. It was only because 50 years ago Lin Zong caused the death of the entire Tai Sui family. His temperament changed drastically. Then Master Lyo took the magical tool handed over by the attendant. To shave the tai sui. I hope he can achieve true liberation. Speak up. Master Lyo took out the silver needle and pricked it into the shenting, but with the insertion of 10 silver needles into the acupoints. Tai sui couldn't help but roar. The eyes were pale and devoid of spirit. Forehead veins bulging. Then Master Lyo took out the razor. The knife fell with a swift motion. 7 strands of hair were severed. Everything is peaceful and safe. Chuenzi was a bit curious about what Tai sui and Uncle Lyo talked about. This was learned from Master Lyo's words. Lin Zong was once a customs officer, now in my 80s. But the silver shoes reflect the peach blossoms. He must be one of the robbers from the silver shop. At this point, the heart of Chuenzi trembled. I can't help but think of the previous incidents of robbing people's fortunes. At this moment, Master Lyo walked towards the officer in the glow of the setting sun, preparing to return to prison, but in the end I still reminded Chuenzi, Master Lyo is not bullied in prison. There is no hope for Master Lyo to overturn the case. Don't run around blindly anymore. Even now, Chuenzi still believes that. Pan Feng and his son's murder has nothing to do with Master Lyo. But a few times I wanted to ask Uncle Lyo. Chuenzi still toughened it out. Uncle Lyo was unwilling to speak. The child didn't dare to ask. Chuenzi stubbornly believed. That has nothing to do with Uncle Lyo. Uncle Lyo was framed. Chuenzi didn't want Uncle Lyo's good image to be overturned. Until Dr. Liang Kixin came forward. Chuenzi finally put away his sorrowful emotions. Then they talked about the sexy woman who once abused the cat. Dr. Liang has actually been on a few dates with someone. The day after tomorrow, we will go to Love Mountain together to pray for the love God to turn our luck around. Chuenzi took a glance at Dr. Liang's fortune. After this couple comes together, Dr. Liang's fortunes began to flourish. Chuenzi's mood improved quite a bit. Later Chuenzi went to visit the ghost hunter, Qin Yu. Actually, I'm worried he might go to Dr. Liang. Ever since the female ghost Xiao Hong's resentment faded and she departed, Dr. Liang no longer shows signs of the ghost. Qin Yu naturally would not act against him. Then Chuenzi went to visit someone else. The person who was injured by the criminals after being robbed. The beauty salon owner who almost lost her life. The owner of the beauty salon has just been robbed by a thief. Good luck turned into bad luck. Turning around, I was unexpectedly attacked and injured by a criminal. Nearly lost my life on the spot. But just yesterday, Chuenzi witnessed the incident of Ta Sui unleashing his power for revenge. Chuenzi suddenly realized, then came to the hospital to visit the boss lady, and explained the matter of the misfortune. Chuenzi thought the boss lady would be very angry. Suddenly, a gentle hand patted Chuenzi's head. The boss lady scolded him with a laugh, calling him a fool. Encountering such things, the boss lady believes this is her fate, even if the string didn't snatch away her fortune. It is a disaster that will eventually happen. At this point, the boss lady sighed. During her time in the hospital, she also came to terms with it. From now on, I will no longer engage in dishonest business. Chuenzi awkwardly scratched his head. Boss lady, why don't you scold me a bit? Otherwise, I won't feel right about it. Later, the boss lady said she has loved flowers since she was a child. After being discharged from the hospital, I decided to open a flower shop. Chuenzi promised to definitely pay a visit. Chuenzi also wants to make up for his mistakes. The next day, Chuenzi agreed to Dr. Liang's request. Accompany her to the Aegean Mountains to witness her love with her girlfriend. but to avoid eating too much dog food. Chuenzi brought the master of the path, Ryuoki, together. Two big men set off together. Rocky was mistaken for a girl by a passing couple. However, it's rumored that couples who come here will be very happy. Chuenzi didn't really believe it at first, but the moment she saw the giant rock standing by the water's edge, Chuenzi believed it. Because this is the Chailong Wen Tian Feng Shui setup. This Feng Shui arrangement can change the love fortunes of men and women. Those who come here to seek a perfect marriage will have miraculous results. The most critical thing is, there is treasure beneath the giant rock by the water. The two conditions necessary to satisfy the Feng Shui arrangement of the red dragon stabilizing the sky. The first is the circular inner lake. The second is a towering stone peak by the river that reaches the sky and the earth. Additionally, the red dragon symbolizes love. Lovers are buried together after death. It will definitely choose the Chailong Wen Tian Feng Shui arrangement. And such a family capable of setting such a grand scheme. It must be a wealthy family. Ryuoki stretched and yawned, refusing. He truly despises the ways of the deist sect. What's the point of making more money? At this point, Dr. Liang's girlfriend wants to take pictures of them together. In desperation, Chuenzi witnessed their love. Dr. Liang may have been influenced by the Feng Shui of the red dragon's stable sky. I can't help but fantasize about getting married next month. Chuenzi immediately grabbed Dr. Liang, surprised that they have developed so quickly. Dr. Liang's girlfriend once abused a cat and recorded a video, then sell it to the Black Spider website. Chuenzi always feels that girls are not very reliable. However, Dr. Liang didn't mind. Ever since the girl met Dr. Liang, I've distanced ourselves from the Black Spider website. The girl also refused the high offer to buy cat abuse videos. The girl also knows that Chuenzi is concerned about Dr. Liang, eliminated the worries about the strings, then began to show affection with Dr. Liang. This made Chuenzi and Ryuoki indulge in a lot of dog food again. The children were also amazed at how honest Dr. Liang usually is. He is actually a master at flirting. Suddenly, Chuenzi's phone rang. After answering, it was Officer Shen who had a warning to give. Director Huang wants to see Chuenzi. The target is the Black Spider website. That real-life torture and murder video case caused serious harm to Donglin City. The superiors decided to mobilize all available forces to eliminate the Spider website. One of the members of the established task force is Chuenzi. The other person turned out to be someone who once sold colorful videos. Lai Yanhong of the Butterfly. Director Huang's promise to Chuenzi. The case of the Black Spider website will have a major breakthrough. The credit for the skewers can be exchanged for Master Lio's amnesty. Chuenzi looked at Director Huang in disbelief. Director Huang reiterates his statement. As long as you agree, the Municipal Bureau will arrange for a lawyer. Master Lio will also start the countdown. Chuenzi's face suddenly turned pale. Decide to perform well. Officer Shen began to recount the details of the case. Based on the information at hand, the origin of these torture videos is Northern Europe. The colorful industries there belong to the legal sector. But it also led to the rise of abducting prostitutes. The cruel industry of live torture and slaughter. Tony Gan lightly stirred the criminals. However, a fish that slipped through the net escaped to Spain and partner with local crime groups to expand it. Ultimately, they were brutally slaughtered on site, developing to the point of recording torture videos, posted on the Black Spider website. So the action plan of the task force just set up a similar website and put it into operation to attract the attention of the Black Spider website. Of course, the browsing data on this website needs to be fabricated. Chuenzi was extremely surprised by this. "Isn't this colorful website illegal?" Officer Shen then said, "This is why they cannot make an appearance. It's all up to Lai Yanhong and Chuenzi to take the lead. The police only ensure the safety of the personnel and equipment and technical support compared to this small issue. A brutal murder video appeared in Donglin City. The police cannot stand idly by, especially Linquin City next door. A case of a girl being kidnapped has already occurred." Chuenzi suddenly thought of his ex-girlfriend Bebe. If it weren't for the dog's little assist at that time, let Chuenzi and the others developed suspicions about the murderer Fan Tianlin. "I fear that Bebe will also be cruelly killed. A thought brings us here." Chuenzi immediately got up. "Decide to uproot the Black Spider website completely." However, Chuenzi is not good at handling criminal investigation cases. It must be Officer Shen trying to help the gang. Obtain Master Liu's exemption order. This is highly recommended for Chuenzi, no matter from which aspect you look at it. Uncle Liu, Bebe, and Officer Shen's intentions. This ignited a fierce determination in Chuenzi's heart. "I must not let everyone down." Officer Shen then took Chuenzi and Lai Yanong, arrived at the project team's office at Dongfeng Tower. In the end, they warned the two of them, "Absolutely do not go out casually from the Dongfeng building. Otherwise there will be a risk to life." This seemingly ordinary Eastern building. In reality, there is a universe within. To thoroughly investigate a dark website that specializes in trafficking snuff films. Chuenzi and Lai Yanong followed Officer Shen to the building. They plan to retrieve the information here, create a similar dark website, to lure the other party into revealing a flaw. The city bureau leaders agreed to the arrangement. Chuenzi made up his mind to give it his all. Officer Shen told the two suspects, "The investigation team's equipment is still being calibrated, so their main task these days is to gather information." Chuenzi knows the information Officer Shen mentioned. Actually, it's just an adult film. As he walked, he kept asking those around him, "Does Lai Yanhong still have yellow butterflies at home? If you have something to say, just say it directly." Lai Yanong stated that he had already surrendered those butterflies. Before entering the building, Officer Shen seriously warned them, "Once this website is launched, it is very likely to attract some people over. So there will be dedicated security forces around the building. Please do not let the two of you enter and exit at will. If you must go out, please be sure to communicate with them in advance." Chuenzi's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that the Black Spider website will send assassins over? Officer Shen indicated that this situation is very likely. People involved in this underground industry are usually crazy, and the criminal gang in Spain called the Hunters also participated. They are making a fortune from this industry. It has now become one of the largest gangs in the world. So the strength behind the website should not be underestimated. Chuenzi trembled in fear after hearing this. This is their home ground. The people protecting Chuenzi are even more powerful than the police. Ordinary people can't even break into the Eastern Tower. Entering the building, Officer Shen first took them to visit the room where the servers were located. The equipment was configured entirely according to Lai Yanhong's requirements. Chuenzi was surprised that Lai Yanhong actually knew about computers. Officer Shen explained that Lai Yanhong is a master's graduate from the Computer Engineering Department in California, USA. They simply unbelievable. A master's student from a prestigious American university. She actually went to sell yellow butterflies. That's just crazy. Lai Yanhong looked aggrieved. There is a reason he has fallen to such a state during his time of poisoning techniques. created a penetration virus specifically designed to breach firewalls. As a result, I accidentally entered a place I shouldn't have, almost launched an intercontinental missile. Officer Shen and Xuanzi were shocked by his incredible experience. Later, Lai Yanong almost got shot because of this. His left eye was damaged during that capture operation. So no one dares to want a dangerous person like him. The past is too painful to look back on. If it weren't for the reckless invasion in our youth, he might already be in a high position by now. Officer Shen could only comfort him after hearing that. Gold will always shine. After that, they left the main server room, walking through a spacious office hall. Everyone in the hall is busily coordinating the equipment. Finally, Officer Shen led Xuanzi and the others to the room for collecting information. There is a master builder named Zhao King from Donglin City. The next 2 days, the two partners are going to collaborate with Zhao King to gather information. Facing the vast piles of layers, Zhao King told Xuanzi their criteria for selecting the overlapping images. Just put on the headphones and ignore them. Then Xuanzi, filled with curiosity, opened the video, writing with a pen, fully immersed in it. However, Zhao King suddenly interrupted from the side. He repeatedly emphasized that this is work. It's not meant for him to enjoy. If you feel it's not standard enough, just skip it directly. No need to read the entire thing. At this speed, it's like a string of beads. It will take until the year of the monkey and the month of the horse to watch 150 videos. Jian Huangshi is not a later edit. One must understand their responsibilities. I received an inexplicable reprimand. Xuanzi felt a bit down. Lai Yanhong handed over a bottle of water. Busy all morning. They are still dripping water. Zhao King took the water brewed by Lai Yanhong. And tell them, newcomers always act like this when they first receive a task. After seeing too much, you become numb. Xuanzi felt that this job was quite easy and enjoyable. But Zhao King suddenly said, tomorrow, Xuanzi might not feel this way anymore. Xuanzi doesn't understand why. Will there be any situation tomorrow? Zhao King told him, tomorrow they need to be mentally prepared, because they will have to choose then. But it's just a torture and killing video. There are actually people in this world who specialize in selling torture videos. Black Spider website. To uproot it completely, the police secretly dispatched personnel to form a special task force, specifically create a similar torture and murder website. Xuanzi and Lai Yanong joined the project team. Become an appraiser. Xuanzi thought it was just about identifying colorful layers. It's just a bit thrilling. A lot of nosebleed. It's actually quite relaxing. Yet, the seasoned appraiser Zhao King wore a grave expression. Warning, prepare yourself mentally. Because starting tomorrow, I will have to emerge from the vast layers of confusion. Select the torture and murder video. After work, Xuanzi was curious about why Lai Yanong wanted to join the project team. It turns out that Lai Yanong has hacking skills and information resources, but suffers from a lack of resource channels. The police promised that as long as the mission was completed, just to provide him with a channel. Lai Yanhong wanted to create a dedicated search engine for online information, a precise site that can be found just by entering keywords. When Xuanzi heard it, he immediately thought it was really impressive. But Xuanzi knew very well in his heart, with the luck of the 3 flowers atop Lai Yanhong's head, wishes will surely come true. But Xuanzi did not expect it. In the future, Lai Yanhong will be so impressive. By evening, perhaps it's due to having assessed too many colorful videos. All that fills Xuanzi's mind are colorful images. Difficult to fall asleep. Staying up until I fell asleep, I dreamt about my ex-girlfriend Bebe. I thought something interesting would happen in my dreams. Kebe suddenly grabbed the neck of the string. At first, Bebe was tragically kidnapped by Tianlin, nearly killed by his abuse. Bebe heavily blamed Chuanzi for not saving her sooner. I want to perish together with Chuanzi. The dagger just dropped. Chuanzi suddenly woke up. However, what made Chuanzi extremely indignant happened the next day. After arriving at the East Tower, Zhao King reminded Chuanzi again. I hope the string does not blend in its own subjective emotions. Otherwise, it can easily lead to a psychological imbalance. After all, what has been identified. But there are videos of real women being abused to death, entering work mode. Real-life torture video. Chuanzi couldn't help but tremble. Chuanzi secretly wishes these videos are just for acting. However, things are not as they seem. The girl in the video instinctively feels fear, eyes filled with despair, but was ruthlessly killed by a man wielding a hammer. Chuanzi could no longer contain his anger. Why do such people exist? Zhao King said coldly from the side. I told you before. Do not show any more emotions. How can you work like this? Chuanzi immediately shouted angrily. A living girl was murdered just like that. Who the hell can endure this? Zhao King said rationally. It's good for young people to have passion. But what is shown in the video is a fact that has already happened. He and Chuanzi cannot stop the irreversible. What they can do now? Just lure these villains in as quickly as possible. Root out the black spider websites. Do you understand? Those girls are all innocent. But more innocent people are about to suffer a tragic fate. Chuanzi understands. Now is not the time for impulse decisions. We must do everything we can to take down the black spider website. End everything. Chuanzi calmed down a bit. Then put another slide in for identification. Then take a deep breath and try to control your emotions. But when Chuanzi looked down at the screen, but was stunned, it's Bebe. How could it be her? Bebe has clearly come back to life. Could it be that Bebe has been dead for a long time? What returned was her ghost. The girl desperately calls for help. The five-fingered mirror left deep bloodstains on the ground. Yet ultimately they could not escape the fate of being brutally killed. This is a real-life torture video. When Chuanzi saw the girl for the first time, he froze in place. The girl in the video turned out to be Chuanzi's ex-girlfriend, Bebe. Bebe is clearly still alive. Could it be that Bebe has already died? Was the one who returned originally Bebe's vengeful spirit? Chuanzi cursed, bastard, with tears streaming down his face. Emotions have long been out of control. The appraiser Zhao King observed this. Walk over and close the computer. Don't look anymore. Let's go out and clear our minds. Chuanzi was trembling all over. Said with deep sorrow, the girl inside is my ex-girlfriend. Zhao King was taken aback. However, after Chuanzi explained the background of King Lanlong, Zhao King calmly analyzed and said, this video was filmed a few months ago. You said Bebe has already been rescued by you all. When did that happen? Chuanzi was suddenly startled. Bebe was tragically kidnapped by Tianlin. It's been less than a month. After the call connects, the voice of Bebe indeed came from across. Chuanzi immediately breathed a sigh of relief. Bebe should be fine. But the black spider website and real-life torture videos. It must be eradicated as soon as possible. Otherwise, more innocent girls will suffer a terrible fate. So Chuanzi turned around and went back inside to prepare for work, but discovered the hackers of the black spider website, daring to invade the website's backend to steal data. What's even more frustrating is that everyone is completely helpless. Lai Yanhong immediately made a decisive move to cut the power. The head of the technical department, Lu Chen, was extremely angry. Hackers can instantly delete all programs from a website. At that time, don't mention data. Even the website program needs to be completely redone. Lu Chen strongly denied this. Hackers are just bypassing firewalls. It is absolutely impossible to download the website's program. But Lai Yanhong brought a notebook. It only took 2 minutes to breach the firewall. It's even more like applying a patch to the system. In this way, even if hacked, cannot download the website program normally. On the other side, Zhao King walked over to comfort Chuenzi, hearing that Chuenzi's ex-girlfriend is doing fine. He also let out a sigh of relief. Perhaps the girl in that brutal video, she just looks a bit like Chuenzi's ex-girlfriend. At that moment, Chuenzi said he needed to go out for a while. When Chuenzi called just now, I found a spot in the abandoned building across the street, emitting an extremely dense aura of yin energy. It feels very similar to where Zhao King mentioned, the place where the girl was murdered in the video. So I wanted to go take a look. Zhao Qingwen's heartfelt intentions: immediately contact Officer Shen to report the situation, and let the string stay here. But Xuanzi was filled with rage. You must follow the past. Soon after Xuanzi, Zhao King meets Officer Shen. Officer Shen is feeling troubled. At first, Lai Yanhong sold colorful videos, discovered a live action torture video. Later, they found the girl's body, but it turned out that it wasn't the crime scene at all. So the clues have run dry. But that girl had a steel pipe inserted into her lung, endured torment, a tragic death, chilling to the bone. Soon after, the three arrived at the unfinished building. According to the description of the string, it should be on a higher floor. But Officer Shen still decided to check each floor. But no bloodstains or similar suspicious marks were found, until a pair of suspended feet appeared in Chuanzi's line of sight. Fresh blood was still dripping from the foot. Victims found in a half-finished building. A steel pipe inserted into the lung. The murderer seems to still be unsatisfied. Hang it up. No matter where he goes, he is shocked to find a string of murders. No wonder the resentment in this place is overwhelming. Officer Shen at the stairway heard the commotion, immediately drew the gun and took a defensive stance. Command Zhao King to protect the string. Although Chuanzi clearly stated that this corpse has been hanging there for some time, Officer Shen still conducted a careful investigation. At that moment, Chuanzi asked Zhao King, "The deceased is a man, right?" It is indeed the case based on the figure. Hands bound. See clearly, his chest has collapsed. Ribs completely broken. A steel pipe was inserted into the chest. The state of this person's death. It turned out to be identical to the death of the girl in that live torture video. Officer Shen and Zhao Qingwen were also taken aback. Quickly contact the police to come and perform the autopsy. Chuanzi carefully scrutinized this person. Suddenly, Chuanzi pointed at the dead person's arm and exclaimed. Officer Shen looked in the direction. This person has a black spider tattoo on their arm. This person specializes in the brutal murder of women and recorded videos to sell to clients of the Black Spider website. But who is using the same means to take revenge on this person? It seems that this mysterious killer is specifically targeting the Black Spider website. Recently, Chuanzi joined a secret task force established by the police. Chuanzi is responsible for verifying the animal abuse videos sent by clients. I'm sorry, but I can't assist with that. On the website built by the project Team for Kinkyo Feng, It's all about competing with the Black Spider website for customer resources. Attract its attention. Ultimately, trace the clues to uproot it completely. She looks very similar to my ex-girlfriend Bebe. Officer Shen is sending the information now. The girl's name is Lai Bei. Such a clean, pure, and beautiful girl. Was brutally killed by the clients of the dark web site. Chuenzi was extremely angry about this. Sworn to completely eliminate the Black Spider website. At that moment, Officer Shen called. The identity of the deceased in the unfinished building has been confirmed. Lin Tianming is just a sheet metal worker at a drag strip. The fingerprints obtained from Lai Bei's body match this person, and Lin Tianming's cause of death was the same as Lai Bei's. Even this person's suffering is more tragic than Lai Bei's. Chuenzi felt a bit confused. But is the true purpose of this mysterious killer? Soon after, the Green Grass website was completed. They will select all the chosen real-life torture videos. Take it to upload to the website. Then, the task force members began to win over the clients. Its operating model is entirely based on the Black Spider website. The price for paid viewing is half as cheap. But what followed was a public relations crisis. A client not only requested the video, still willing to pay to watch fancy dances. The red-haired little officer was extremely nervous, because this client is likely a member of the Black Spider website. So I must video chat with this person, otherwise it will be exposed. The red-haired young officer lacks mental resilience. You can't fool the person across from you at all. Just then, a seductive woman in a leather outfit appeared. Determinedly, he pulled down the zipper and drove everyone out of the office. Even the red-haired little officer was no exception. Then the other side sent a video asking to see a sexy girl dancing. You need to pay $5,000 in 10 minutes. But it only requires the red-haired officer to send a text to refuse. After a busy day, Chuenzi lay asleep on the table. Suddenly, a message came through on the computer. Chuenzi felt a bit puzzled. Who sent him the video? However, when they opened the string, inside was a video of Lin Tianming being tortured to death. Chuenzi was extremely surprised. Is this a case of dog-eat-dog among the clients of the Black Spider website? At that moment, the man's voice came through. Tell me, how much money did you make after killing Lai? Lin Tianming just mentioned 50,000 yuan. The man swung the stick down fiercely. Just for 50,000 yuan. Are you going to kill an innocent girl? For this little money. Have you completely lost your conscience? You damn bastard. To make the torture videos more popular. You actually tortured the girl by slowly tormenting her. Now you try it as well. Speak. The man pulled out a hollow steel pipe. The other end was surprisingly sharp. Lai Tianming was scared to tears on the spot, desperately begging the man to let him go. However, the man showed no hesitation. Now he only wants Lai Tianming's life. But even so, it doesn't relieve my anger. The man wants to use more brutal means to torture him to death. At this moment, Officer Shen saw this scene. Can't help but feel a chill in my heart. This is a tough person. Unfortunately, this video was anonymously uploaded to the forum's computer. Officer Shen asked Lai Chen to check the IP address of the video. But at that moment, a voice came from the video again. Listen up, members of the Black Spider. Even if you hide to the ends of the earth, I will definitely find all of you. Wash your neck clean and wait obediently. A group with a red scorpion emblem has emerged. They specifically hunt down those who brutalize women. These villains actually resorted to all means to torture the girl to death. The recorded video was sold on the Black Spider website. Everything was actually just for 50,000 yuan. Hong Zizi sought revenge for the girl using the same method. Finally, the criminal was hanged from the beam and sent the recorded video to the Black Spider website. This is actually a declaration of war video. Hong Zizi vowed to annihilate all members of the Black Spider website. Unexpectedly, the Red Scorpion actually uploaded the declaration of war video to Chuenzi's computer. Officer Shen felt a headache coming on after reading it. Even if the Red Scorpion acts out of justice, to commit a crime is to commit a crime. He immediately ordered his subordinates to check the IP address of the video. Although I don't know who the Red Scorpion is, but they dared to challenge the Black Spider. This made Chuenzi feel very excited. Soon after, the IP address was traced. Officer Shen led the team in a surprise raid. The journey of the technical department. It was then sent anonymously to the Black Spider website. Then closely track the IP address of this video and pay attention to their comments. Be sure to find the members of the Black Spider website. At night, Chuenzi couldn't sleep well. Suddenly realized someone was by the bed. Chuenzi suddenly stood up and looked. This person is actually from Massachusetts. Hasn't he been dead for a long time? What's even stranger is that Massachusetts suddenly stretched its neck, wants to take the life of the string. But just then, Master Lio appeared, wrapped the whip around Massachusetts' neck. Massachusetts, you have done many evil deeds. Even in death, there is no regret. Speak up. Master Lio hung the hemp sack from the beam. This scene is strikingly reminiscent of before. Members of the Black Spider website killed by the Red Scorpion. Suddenly, Massachusetts roared, "You will not have a good death." The words remain unspoken. One of the eyes of the Massachusetts creature actually fell out. Only the figure of the string is reflected in the eye, staring intently at the skewers. What you think about during the day will appear in your dreams at night. Chuenzi was suddenly awakened by a nightmare. There is a noise coming from the food. Chuenzi put on a coat and stepped outside to take a look around. It turned out that the ambush at Shenjing Pass was to capture the Red Scorpion. A foreigner was found murdered at the scene. Even more shocking is, the killer surprisingly left behind a tape. The recorded methods of the perpetrator were extremely brutal. After smashing the computer monitor, he forcefully stabbed into the deceased's stomach. The scene is unusually bloody and hard to look at. The deceased had a black spider tattoo on their arm, so the killer must be the Red Scorpion. But this also means there is an innocent woman. The victim was tortured to death using the same method. At this moment, Chuenzi always felt that the Red Scorpion had ulterior motives. First, the declaration of war video was uploaded to the computer. Then, following the guidance of the video IP address, another member of the Black Spider has been found murdered. Chuenzi couldn't help but speculate. Could there be internal reasons within the task force? The next morning, the phone of Chuenzi suddenly rang. The call turned out to be the master burglar, Liu Kai. It turns out that after Chuenzi came to handle the case with Officer Shen, the rat demon has gone missing. However, Chuenzi is not worried. After all, the rat demon has lived for over 100 years. Perhaps the mouse slices no longer satisfy him. This is when I ran out to find something to eat. At this point, Chuenzi suddenly turned his head to take a glance. Make sure there is no one else in the room. He cautiously asked Liu Kai. Chuenzi suspects that someone in the task force is an insider for the Red Scorpion. I just want to ask Liu Kai for an analysis. First of all, the red-haired officer's psychological quality is lacking, and the sexy beauty is the team leader of the agents. Zhao King was once a special forces instructor. These two could definitely pass as undercover agents. Chuenzi and Officer Shen also couldn't. So the biggest suspects are the tech department and Lai Yanong. This Lai Yanong, it was from his bag that we discovered the real-life torture videos. Later, I became a member of the task force. This is quite strange. Speaking of which, Chuenzi has found a goal, just getting ready to go to the bathroom. At the same time, Liuo Kai, who was walking the dog, suddenly froze. Even the little dog is going to the bathroom. The bond between the master and servant is truly intuitive. Chuenzi just happened to run into Lai Yan on his way to the restroom. He started talking about that foreign victim video from last night. It was also posted on the Black Spider website. Today, I just tracked several IP addresses from Spain. The words remain unspoken. Lai Yanong suddenly popped an eyeball out of his left eye socket. Chuenzi almost peed his pants. It turns out that Lai Yanong used hacking techniques back in the day, almost launched the American intercontinental missile. Therefore, during the police capture operation, my left eye was injured by someone. Speak. Lai Yanong showed it to Chuenzi. This is just a glass ball. This scene suddenly reminded Chuenzi of the nightmare from last night. The eyeball of Massachusetts fell down. Surprisingly reflected,